Welcome to our online worship service. We greet you in the spirit of loving kindness, compassion and peace. My name is Alex Bradley and I am a Unitarian minister living and working in Cheshire. And I light this flame with words from two sources. Firstly, from the book of Psalms in the Bible. Give unto God the glory that is due. Come, let us worship God in the beauty of holiness. And secondly, with some words adapted from an unknown writer. We gather together in spirit, if not in bodily presence, with hearts open to each other, with minds open to the unfamiliar, with spirits open to the flow of life and love. We gather in heart and mind as newcomers and familiar faces, as people of differing ages and unique stories, each of us alone, all of us together, many yet one. We gather here online in the holiness of worship. And a prayer. God of all people, grant us the gift of understanding. Help us to understand the feelings, desires and goals of others. Help us also to understand ourselves, to understand our actions and reactions. Widen our vision beyond our own small world so that we can embrace with knowledge and love the world and its people around us. God of us all, help us to appreciate the qualities that we see lived out so well in some people, for we may have so much to learn from others. Inspire us to respect others fully as equals, to see and love them as you do, God of love. We give thanks for all those people who have inspired others and played their part in passing on to generation after generation the living heritage of their faith. Especially we give thanks for those who lived their faith through difficulties and hardship and persecution. Show us how to be positive in attitude, appreciating and valuing others, always being ready to encourage and to give praise. Inspire us with a great respect for all human life. May that respect lead us to grow in a sense of responsibility for all our brothers and sisters throughout the world, knowing that where one person suffers, all of us are the lesser as a result. May we grow in a sense of love and care for all people, especially for those less fortunate than ourselves, and may we be inspired to act no matter how small our actions may be, to make our world a better place for our having been in it. Amen. Our first reading comes from the book or Gospel of Matthew in the Bible, chapter 4. As Jesus was walking beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, called Peter, and his brother Andrew. They were casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. "Come, follow me," Jesus said, "and I will send you out to fish for people." At once they left their nets and followed him. Going on from there, he saw two other brothers, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John. They were in a boat with their father Zebedee, preparing their nets. Jesus called them, and immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. And our second reading is taken from Helen Keller's book, My Religion. We are here for a purpose, and however we are situated, we please God better with useful deeds than with many prayers or pious resignation. The temple or church is empty unless the good of life fills it. It is not the stone walls that make it small or large, but the brave soul's light shining round about. The altar is holy, if only it represents the altar of our heart, upon which we offer the only sacrifices ever commanded, the love that is stronger than hate, and the faith that overcometh doubt. Our worship today has as its focus an invitation and a question. Join us. Why? It was Groucho Marx who, among any other things, said that he would not join a club that would have him as a member. I wonder how he would have reacted to joining a religious community. I recently came across, in a book by John Paul Flintoff called Through the Eye of a Needle, the story of a strange episode where a man called Danny Wallace started a mass movement when he placed a free ad in a London newspaper saying, "Join me." Respondents had only to send a passport-sized photo and they became joinees. Almost unbelievably, Wallace later admitted that he was bored and did it on a whim when he had nothing else to do. The truly mind-blowing part of this story was that thousands of people wrote in. Then they started to ask what exactly they had joined. He decided to ask them to perform what he called random acts of kindness every Friday, and it had quite a vogue for a time. It's amazing to think that people sent their details and a passport photo without even checking what it was all about. They might have put themselves at risk of identity theft or worse. Was it naivety on their part? Perhaps. But perhaps too it was a sign of an often unexpressed and unfulfilled wish to belong in a world which seems increasingly fragmented and disconnected, a world where friendship comes more often with friends and likes on Facebook and other social media rather than real-time meeting and interaction between people. "Join me," said the advert. Societies, voluntary groups and churches say, "Join us." Jesus asked his hearers to join him, but as part of a group of followers, not just a disconnected group of individuals. He probably already knew some, perhaps most of those people he called to follow him before inviting them. He at least had a purpose in mind, to proclaim the good news of the kingdom of heaven. Churches and charities have a purpose for their existence and ask people for support on the basis of those purposes. Equally, Jesus did not ask people to sign a blank check, neither did he make a hard sell. On the contrary, he told people all the time to make sure they understood what they were getting into if they chose to follow him. He compared the decision about following him to a man contemplating building a tower. That man must count the cost first. Another comparison he drew was with a king going to war. That king would have to ask his advisors whether his army was strong enough to overcome the other army, or, if not, to send an embassy asking for peace terms. These simple but vivid examples were an encouragement to anyone thinking of joining him to think long and hard first before doing so. Join us? Why? There are probably as many different answers as there are church members. There were many reasons in the past that had little or nothing to do with religion. In the 19th century, people joined a church out of a desire to be respectable. Not a bad reason in itself, but certainly not a religious or spiritual one. In generations gone by, young people would attend church to meet the opposite sex. But in today's world, there are many different places where they can meet, not least online. In past decades, an ambitious young man might join a church to meet influential people who might help him climb the social ladder or advance his career, but those days are long gone. Some people come to a church because they love the music and hymn singing. Others come because they like hearing thoughtful sermons and taking part in time-honoured rituals, even though they may not consider themselves particularly religious. Yet others will join simply for the company and the companionship that it can provide. Others will go to a particular church for the beauty of its architecture or because they have family associations or memories of that church. All these are perfectly good reasons themselves, and I have elements of some of them in myself, but they are not particularly religious or spiritual reasons. So, why join us? You will have your reasons. Here are some of my own. Firstly, in worship, I seek, however falteringly and uncertainly, to experience what Rudolf Otto called the mysterium tremendum, that sense of the holy other, the power and loving presence which I call God. Secondly, I seek a unity and community with my fellow worshippers, a feeling that is much deeper than normal social contact because it is connected to that power that is greater than any of us. Thirdly, a spiritual community that is truly flourishing, while it brings great benefit to its members, will seek to serve the community beyond its walls. It is a place of sanctuary and a place of peace, but it is also a place where we renew ourselves to serve in the world around us. Last but not least, Unitarian and Three Christian communities do not impose any beliefs on those who join them. We respect and honour those who differ from us, either in religion, philosophy or politics. We value and seek to learn from all faiths as a striving towards God and truth. For us, Christianity is a way of life, not a straitjacket. Our communities are places where we can worship in our own way with our own thoughts. We do not offer pre-packaged answers or dogmatic assertions, but seek to encourage each person to find their own answers about God and truth as fellow pilgrims and seekers in spiritual community. Unlike the young man who said, "Join me," because he was bored, we say, "Join us," if you want to share in a search for truth, to share in the transforming spirit of love, and to share in the care and support of a spiritual family. Why join us? The answer lies in you. Each person in the privacy of his or her own heart and soul finds his or her own way to truth. Whatever spiritual path you may choose, and whether or not you join us, we wish you every blessing, joy, and peace. Amen. And now a benediction to conclude our worship. from this online gathering for worship to the world beyond the computer screen. From being online to out there in real time. From being together on a computer server to being apart in physical space. Let us go forth in love, hope and peace, knowing that we are joined to each other in our hearts and at one with God in spirit and in truth. Amen.